Welcome to Life Stories. Subscribe to the channel to begin today's story. What if one day you gave everything, your time, your money, your love, only to realize you had become invisible? She thought she was going to help her son and his new family. What she walked into was something else entirely, a silent battlefield of unspoken resentment, sleepless nights, and quiet heartbreak. But the most unexpected twist? It didn't come from screaming matches or slamming doors. It came from the soft hum of an air conditioner. This is the story of Helen, a mother, a grandmother, a woman who spent her life giving until one day she didn't. Stay with us as this story unfolds with tension, tenderness, and a final decision that will leave you asking, how far should love go before it becomes too far? Let's begin. The late afternoon sun spilled through the sliding glass doors, casting warm streaks across my kitchen floor. I was squinting through my reading glasses, trying to figure out how to repot the basil plant that had outgrown its container, when my phone started vibrating on the table. Daniel. The name lit up the screen, right next to a photo of him holding baby Noah, both of them smiling so wide it was like sunlight had been captured in their faces. Just seeing it made something tender stir in my chest. I set the little trowel down, wiped my hands on my apron, and answered. "Mom?" His voice came through low, rushed, tired. There was a tightness in it I hadn't heard since he was a little boy asking for help with a skinned knee. "Are you busy these days?" I laughed softly. "Sweetheart, I'm retired. The only deadlines I have involve watering schedules and library returns." He didn't laugh. Instead, I heard it, the soft, whimpering cry of a baby in the background, frayed and exhausted. "It's Brittany," he said after a pause. She's really worn down. Noah's been fussy nonstop. We haven't slept more than a couple of hours a night. She's dropping weight. A shriek, sharp and piercing, cut through the line. Noah's cry. It felt like it reached straight into my chest and twisted. "We're at our limit, Mom," Daniel whispered. "We need help." Something inside me shifted. Not a decision. A calling. I didn't even hesitate. "I'll be there," I said. That night, I packed a bag. My small house, once alive with the steady rhythm of my late husband's footsteps, had grown far too quiet. The idea of being needed again, of holding my grandson in my arms and helping Daniel navigate this wild, beautiful mess of fatherhood, it gave me purpose. I even smiled as I dug out an old parenting guide from the shelf. 3 generations under one roof. Laughter. Life. Family. I could already hear the echo of it. The next morning, I stood at Daniel's front door in New Jersey, suitcase in one hand, a gift bag in the other. Inside were soft cotton onesies for Noah and collagen gummies for Brittany, something small to show her I cared. My heart thudded with anticipation. The door opened. "Mom." Daniel grinned and stepped forward to take my suitcase, parking it beside the shoe rack like it was nothing. His hug was brief, distracted. I leaned past him and looked into the house. The air was thick, not just with the scent of formula and diapers, but something else, something heavy. The kind of heaviness that seeps into drywall, stress, sleeplessness, and unspoken resentment. Brittany stepped out from the hallway, cradling Noah. Her house dress clung to her frame. Her hair was twisted into a messy bun, face pale, eyes ringed with shadows. "Hi, Helen," she said flatly. No smile, no welcome, just a cold nod. Like I was a neighbor who'd shown up uninvited. Still, I smiled and handed her the gift bag. "I brought these for you," I said gently. "Thought they might help with recovery." "Thanks," she murmured, not looking inside. She turned and disappeared back into the bedroom, closing the door behind her like sealing off a separate world. I stood there, still holding the weight of the moment in my hands. Daniel cleared his throat. "Listen," he said. "We're kind of tight on space right now. The guest room's full of boxes and old baby stuff we haven't sorted. You'd be okay crashing on the couch for a few days, right? I'll fix the room by the weekend." He gestured to the couch. Wide, gray, and impersonal. Something in me wavered. Not because of the couch, but because of what it symbolized. Not, "We're so glad you're here." Just make yourself small, unseen, quiet, convenient. I swallowed that feeling. Smiled. "Of course, honey. I'm just one person. I don't need much." He looked relieved. "Thanks, Mom." That first night, I learned the couch was a liar. It promised width but delivered springs. The summer heat wrapped the room like a wool blanket soaked in steam. And the mosquitoes? They were like bloodthirsty ballerinas, pirouetting by my ears all night. Still, I kept smiling. I held Noah every time he cried. I sterilized bottles. I wiped counters and folded laundry. I stayed invisible, useful, and silent. But something in the air told me this wasn't going to be what I thought. What would you do if someone you loved made you feel like a stranger in their home? Have you ever given everything, only to realize you were expected to give even more? Stay tuned for part 2, the line that was crossed, where a small act of care sets off a quiet storm, and Helen is forced to face a heartbreaking truth. That second morning, I woke up drenched in sweat. The couch cushions clung to my skin like damp rags, and my legs were dotted in angry red bites. The sliding glass door to the balcony had a screen, but it might as well have been laced to those relentless New Jersey mosquitoes. I'd barely slept 2 hours. Noah's cries started early, as they always did. Soft at first, then sharp and frantic. I rose immediately and padded down the hall, every muscle in my body aching. The bedroom door was cracked open. I peeked in. Brittany was there, cradling Noah against her shoulder. Her forehead rested against his. She looked utterly spent, shoulders slumped, hair limp, her body moving in slow, practiced motions like a machine running on fumes. Daniel was still in bed, dead asleep. Her eyes flicked up at me, flat, guarded. "You didn't have to get up," she said, voice cool. "I heard him crying," I whispered. "Just thought I'd help. He's hungry. I've got it." She turned her back. A signal, clear as glass. I stepped away. Back in the living room, I poured a glass of water and stood by the window, watching the leaves shift in the morning breeze. It was barely 7 a.m., but the day already felt heavy, like something invisible had lodged itself in the air and refused to move. The hours blurred. I bathed Noah, sang to him, soothed him. Brittany stayed mostly behind the bedroom door, emerging only to issue instructions. Don't mix the bottle like that. Don't put the onesies in the dryer. Don't touch the baby's clothes with regular detergent. Her tone was always neutral. Not angry. Not grateful. Just sterile. Daniel, meanwhile, vanished behind his home office door. "Work slammed," he'd say, then disappear for hours. He'd resurface around dinner, give Noah a quick forehead kiss, mumble something about email, and vanish again. By day 3, I'd become part of the furniture, a body in the house with chores assigned to it. No one asked how I was sleeping. No one offered to share the food that was too spicy for me to eat. Brittany cooked, but never once asked if I could handle jalapeno-laced pasta or peppered rice. I didn't complain. I just quietly made myself toast. Then came the heat wave. Noah wouldn't stop crying. His cheeks were beet red and sweat pooled at the nape of his neck. The fan wasn't helping. He writhed in my arms, miserable and hot. I glanced up at the old wall AC unit above the couch, covered in dust but intact. I hesitated, then picked up the remote. Just for a few minutes, I told myself, just to cool the baby down. The unit came to life with a hum. A soft stream of cool air brushed over us. Noah sighed. His cries dulled to soft whimpers, then faded completely. His head rested on my shoulder. Peace, finally. I closed my eyes for one breath, and then the bedroom door slammed open. Brittany stormed out, eyes wide, voice sharp. "Did you turn that on?" I froze. "Just for a few? He was burning up?" "Do you have any idea how much that costs an hour? We're already drowning in bills. Formula, diapers, the mortgage. Do you think we can just waste electricity like that?" "He's fine with the fan." She marched over and slapped the power button. The AC whirred to silence. The heat returned like a tidal wave. I stood there holding Noah, stunned. It wasn't about money. It wasn't even about the air conditioning. It was the fact that even a small act of care, a grandmother trying to comfort her feverish grandson, was seen not as love, but as intrusion. Wasteful. Unwanted. Something deep inside me broke. Quietly. Completely. Have you ever realized too late that you were being treated as an extra in someone else's story? Don't miss part 3, The Quiet Goodbye, where Helen makes a choice that changes everything, and no one sees it coming. I didn't say anything when Brittany turned off the air conditioner, didn't argue, didn't explain, didn't defend. I just stood there, rocking Noah in the thick, silent heat as he drifted off again, his little face still flushed. And inside me, something that had stretched too far for too long snapped back. That evening, after Daniel came home and disappeared into his office again, I quietly packed my bag. I folded the few clothes I had, left the baby onesies and the collagen gummies behind, and sat down on the couch that had become my prison for 3 nights. When Daniel finally emerged for dinner, I pulled him aside. "I'm heading home tomorrow," I said gently. His eyes widened. "Wait, what? You just got here." "I've helped all I can. It's time." "Is this about Brittany?" he asked, glancing toward the hallway. "Did she say something? Did she do something?" I shook my head. "It's not about anyone else. It's just, I've got my own life too, Daniel, and it's waiting for me." He didn't know what to say. He just nodded, looking like a boy again, one who didn't realize he'd taken something precious for granted until it was already packed up and walking out the door. The next morning, no one came to say goodbye, not even Brittany. Daniel drove me to the bus station in silence. When we pulled up, he reached into his wallet and offered 2 crisp $100 bills. "Just take this, Mom, for the trouble, for the help." I stared at the money, a strange ache rising in my throat. "Trouble?" I gently pushed it back. "Keep it," I said softly. "You'll need it. Raising a child is expensive." He didn't argue, just looked away. And then I got out of the car and walked into the station, my suitcase rolling quietly behind me. I didn't look back. Back home, I opened my front door and stood in the warm silence of my own living room. Light streamed through the windows. My plants, still green and thriving, swayed gently in the breeze. I made a cup of tea and sat on the couch, the one that didn't hurt my back, and breathed. It wasn't grief I felt. It wasn't anger either. It was clarity. That evening, I logged into my banking app. The monthly mortgage transfer I'd been sending Daniel and Brittany for 2 years waited on the screen. $3,000. I stared at it for a long moment, then closed the app. Instead, I opened a travel site and booked a weekend getaway to Cape May. Ocean views, fresh air, a class in pottery, something just for me. And I smiled. 2 days later, Daniel called. His voice was hesitant. "Hey, Mom, just wondering if maybe you forgot the mortgage this month?" "No," I said. "I didn't forget." Silence. "Then, so are you just not going to help anymore?" I took a breath. My voice was calm, steady. "I helped because I wanted to, not because I had to. That chapter's over, Daniel. It's time you both learned to stand on your own." More silence. He sighed. "Okay." And that was it. Weeks passed. I didn't hear from Brittany, but I heard whispers. Facebook posts, group chats, comments about how I'd abandoned them, that I'd let them drown, that I was cold. Let them say what they want. I knew the truth. I wasn't cold. I was done being burned. Now, I walk in the park in the mornings. I tend to my garden. I nap in peace, and I eat meals that don't leave my stomach in knots. Noah? I still think about him every day. I love him, fiercely, but I'll never again let that love be used as currency. Because I've finally learned, love is not obligation, and self-worth is not earned through exhaustion. How did this story make you feel? Have you ever had to walk away from people you love for the sake of your own peace? If this story touched you, comment 100 below so we know you're with us. And tell us, what country are you watching from? Share this video with someone who needs to hear this. More life stories are coming soon. Stories that make you feel, reflect, and maybe even heal. Until next time, take care of yourself. You matter.